Hey guys, this is Chris, and today I'm really excited to talk about faith journaling, why I started doing it, and some of the processes that I use to make this happen. I keep the journal with me pretty much on a daily basis. I use it for church sermons, I use it to unpack anything that's on my mind. Even something as simple as a to do list goes in this journal. And what started out pretty basic has turned into just a really fun and thorough creative outlet for me. It's a way to unpack things with God. Anything that I'm wrestling with, a scripture that I'm focusing on, I could write it out and just process it in this book. So let's just show the cover here. This is what's called a traveler's notebook. It has a bit of a strap here if you like that sort of thing. And the cool thing about a traveler's notebook is, first of all, they come in different sizes. This is the extra large, which I just prefer to have a lot of space to write, but they do come in small sizes if you like extreme portability. And as you can see, you can fit all sorts of notebooks in there with this strap system. And that gives you the ability to pick different types of books. So like this book here, the front one has dotted pages, whereas the book in the back, I use just plain paper. So that's totally up to you. You have all this flexibility, which is cool, because a journal should be like your own expression, not really a copy of someone else's. And as you can see, when I first started out, it was pretty straightforward, just writing out in different colors. I use these types of pens. These are Stabilo, pretty fine tip. It's a zero point 0.4, which is quite fine. And what's neat about the zero point 0.4 is it doesn't bleed through the paper, and it bleeds a little bit, but not much. And one of the keys to thinking about that is the thickness of the paper. And I've learned a lot about what's called GSM. So, like the Bible, for example, obviously the pages are exceptionally thin. You could almost see through them. That's a very low GSM number, like maybe 10 or 15. What I like is a page that's about 100 or 110 GSM, because it's a nice thickness and you don't get that bleed through. So like when you're doing drawings or working with marker, you don't see it on the other page. And after experimenting with lots of books, this is how I prefer to do it. So as you can see, as I was going through, the pages were still pretty flat. It's basically words and sketches and a bit of colored pencil, some drawings, all on paper. And they started getting a bit more intricate: prayers, and thoughts, sermon notes. I love adding different types of borders with colored pencil, and I highlight various scripture. As we started going towards our caravan trip, the pages started coming to life in a new way. You'll see here that they just got a bit more intricate, to the point where it started becoming three-dimensional. And this is where things got really fun for me. I was able to create these little hidden pockets and sections with thoughts and lists. Really anything goes in my journal. And perhaps it will be something that you can add into your own life and Bible study. I love using glue sticks. Nothing expensive, nothing fancy. All of this stuff is just bits of paper that I found in various magazines and brochures, and I call them ephemera. It could even be like a stamp or a sticker. Anything goes when it comes to journaling. Now, this page is important to me because, as you can see, we have all these question marks. And the question marks was right around the time that we were thinking about doing this caravan trip around New Zealand for a year. But there were all these question marks, unanswered questions. What are we going to do about my job? What will we do about the kids' schooling? How about finances? Lots of question marks. And as we prayed and processed and went through with the Lord, He started to give us arrows instead of the question marks. Every one of these question marks turned into an arrow pointing the way to go. And it was within about 2 months that we knew it was time to really set out in the caravan. And we've been on the road now for about 12 weeks, and it's been incredible. As we travel, I'm finding more and more interesting things to add into the journal, which is making me quite a happy, creative guy, because I just love having a place to put all my crazy thoughts out onto paper. It gets them out of my head, and it gives me the ability to sort of really study and reflect on what God is saying to me. Let's face it, life gets pretty messy sometimes, but this way, a life of new discovery, if you will, It's allowing me to unpack things uh, in a way that makes sense to my brain. Now, everyone is different, and perhaps you like nice, orderly lists with check boxes, and I do some of that too. But I also like to just free flow and just add things as they strike me. I found this cool little printer by Kodak, which actually prints photos as stickers. This is a little hidden envelope with some important thoughts. The critical issue on the journey with God is not am I happy, but am I free? This was around the time that I was doing a 21-day fast. I don't get too precious with how I do things. I basically use washi tape, glue sticks, plain clear tape. I like to tear things right out of magazines. Sometimes using a scissor is okay for like a neat line, but I actually prefer just ripping it out by hand because you get the cool texture of the paper. It's sort of an imperfect edge, which I quite like. Another thing I'll do is I'll take journal pages out of other books and just tape it into this journal. Not only does it give me more space in this book, but it also acts as just sort of a different sort of feeling and texture and divider. Here's a pretty cool page. This is something that I call my testify section, and it's just a huge, long scroll of all these sheets. Anytime we get somebody donating to our ministry, or God provides something miraculous, or something amazing happens, or someone gives their life to Jesus, whatever it may be, I add it to this sheet, and basically I just use a little piece of tape to connect these sheets. And this is just growing and growing, and I think it will continue to do so as we travel. Different types of paper again, little comics that I found. So anything goes when it comes to Bible journaling. I just love it. It's been so relaxing for one, and it's also been enlightening for me. I encourage you to give this a shot. And at first, your book may look a bit different, but as you go, you'll find your own way. Here's a little pocket that I made just out of some scrap paper, some evangelistic tools, washi tape on the border. This is a little flax type thing that I found in a magazine. Here's another page where I added a bit of a flap. And this whole section I was working on the book of Psalms. Just every day I'd read a psalm and unpack it in the journal. So it was my way of doing a Bible study. Little drawings and doodles. Anything goes when it comes to journaling. Bible verses that I'm pondering and reflecting on. This was a fun page. I actually found some flowers out at a farm we were staying at, and I tried this technique that I saw on Instagram where I hammered the flowers onto the page. And what happened is I actually did get a bit of color from the flowers, but I also got some like wet, damp brown spots, which are not ideal. So I sort of just filled it in with colored pencils. The old painter Bob Ross used to say, there's no mistakes, only happy accidents. And I feel the same is true with journaling. It's just about having fun, connecting with God. This is something that came to me in prayer. Just live for Christ, not for likes. I've been journaling for a long time. And this book, this method, I would say it's a bit more like a journal slash scrapbook. And it just feels like the right expression. Even sermons have come out of this book. They're like little nuggets of wisdom that I hear or I find, and I jot it down, and it just turns into something as I unpack it further. So that's a quick look at what I do with my faith journal, and I encourage you to give it a try for yourself. It really truly has been such a joy for me, and I think it could be for you as well. Sometimes when there's a lot of things going on and your head gets cluttered with all these different ideas and topics that you're wrestling with, getting it out on paper can make all the difference. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching, and perhaps I'll see you again. Bye.